Hi guys, welcome to Interactive Solutions and Happy New Year. First of all, Happy New Year, and we want to welcome you to this year's edition. It is interesting to know that this it is 1 year today that we started this show, and at the end of this particular edition, I'm going to tell you what we are going to do about that. But for this episode that we are starting now, I just want to say it is appreciative of all of us on this side of the show to say thank you to you for having stayed the course with us. Thank you to you for having kept faith. Thank you to you for having been part of it all this while, and we do not take it for granted. At the same time, here we are today, and we want to kick off on something that matters to a whole lot of persons, and that is why we are taking it up this year because of the importance some people attach to it. That is why we want to give air to it. That is why we want to put light to it, because it is something that is concerning to many of us. Love across borders. Is it better or worse to marry from home? It is something that has been on the front burner. It is something that has generated a lot of traction and a lot of tension, anxiety, joy, love, if you find yourself on that side of it. Well, it is important now that we talk about it, because so many people have seen it fit that these things need to be talked about, because a whole lot of persons are paining, a whole lot of persons are hurting under this under this broad categorization. So we want to touch on it and help us, and those of us who are already in it, those of us who are planning to get in it, to know the pros and the cons of it, to help us come to an understanding that and the benefits such marriages could give, well, as well as the challenges that could come with that. So that is why we are here today. Chukanadi, you have always been with us, and I want to appreciate you. At least you are the first person who is joining us on this podcast this year. Thank you, Chuka. It's we do not take it for granted. Your presence has always added color to this. Not just your presence alone, your contributions. Thank you very much. So while we wait for the eggheads and those who are going to help us talk about these things, I also want to tell us that this podcast is for information. It is a place where we try to talk to ourselves and society at large, because while we are doing this, it's not just for the sake of traction and ticking and you know what is that again? It's not just for follow. It is for us to educate ourselves, to enlighten ourselves, so that certain things do not take us unawares. Having said that, I also want to reiterate at the same time that this is our 1 year. For some time we were off air, not just for anything, but we want to try to repackage ourselves, try to do some things that we have not been doing before, and those things are going to be on a regular basis. So thank you guys who continue to give us the encouragement to come across every week, every month, and at least for 1 year now we've tried to be consistent. Thank you very much. Chuka, thank you. And for all those who are still there out there who have not shown your faces on the screen, I want to say thank you. And we'll be getting across to you at the end of this podcast to celebrate our 1 year in the online space. So with me, as always, we have Mr. Samuel Nnadi, who is who some of you know too well. We have Onye Mary, who is also somebody you know too well. We also may be having a guest resource person. He has been here with us once. Sex. He may also come along. You've seen the poster and he's facing in there. So we expect him to be part of the show today. So we also want to appreciate Mr. Mike. Mike was one of the pillars that got this going, and unfortunately, duty has not allowed him to be here as he used to be. But his contributions, his presence is always appreciated. Thank you, Mike, wherever you are. Just know that our hearts beat for you. So Mr. Nadi and then the rest of the guys, they've not shown their faces. So when they show their faces, I'm going to bring them in. But meanwhile, while we are waiting for them, I just want to bring us up to speed about what this is all about. So for some time now, a whole lot of things, a whole lot of fire, a whole lot of sparks have been going on, with people who have who left probably where they were resident overseas to go home to get wives, to get husbands, and on coming back, what used to be a whole love affair turned into something else. So it's been on an increasing basis, and that is why we've felt the need, to put light, to put the touchlight to this. So that we about this because it continues to recur. It has become a recurring decimal, and if something is not done about that, a whole lot of things are going to be affected by that. So the idea that it is not good enough to go back home and get a wife, and even when you get one and you come over here, it becomes a cat and mouse thing, or cat and dog relationship. What used to be a love affair turns into a fight affair. It doesn't speak well, not just of the couple involved. It doesn't speak well, not just of the people, and then it doesn't speak well of us as a people. So that is why we want to talk to ourselves about that and the need for us to do better. Grace Lillian, thank you very much. You have been a strong part of this show, and we do not take your presence here for granted. You've been very, very much a recurring face, a face that, and your contributions also have been instrumental in making us relevant, in making us, go viral. You have been part of it, in summary. And I just want to appreciate you. Happy New Year to you, meanwhile, and to your family. Thank you. So, getting a wife at home is what we want to talk about today. So, what does it? Is it better or is it worse? Get a wife from home. That is what we want to talk about today. Many people have tried it. It worked for some. It didn't work for others. So we want to really, talk about it today and see how what have been prompting a whole lot of persons to go home to get a wife. Mr. Nagi, I can't bring you in because I think you do a little shifting. If you could just shift it a little bit, I'll be able to bring you in. At the moment, I'm not. Your network field is not strong enough to come online. So, is that not your network is not allowing me to bring you in? William Mary, can you send me an invite, please? Mr. Nadi, your network is, can you shift a little bit from away from where you are? Then that could help me to. Hey Mary, can you send me an invite, please? Can you send me? So it's always network thing that sometimes delay us from really kicking off. But at the moment, I'm trying to bring in you guys in, and once we come in, once one of you come in, once one of you comes in, then we can get the discussion going. So, like I was saying, a whole lot of things have gone wrong in marriages that have been contracted across borders. You know, love affair across borders. While the affair was going on, things could just be like, you know, all appears to be rosy and good until something goes wrong, and then people will begin to see that what was there is not there anymore. When you marry your where you are cannot help me bring you in. Yes. Hello, Mr. Nadi. Thank you for joining.
The tea.
Yeah. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, sir. Been a
Yeah,
long.
it's good to have you. It's good to have you. And you know, for some time now we've been off air, but it's good to be on tonight, today, and tonight. And we hope to do well with this topic. Onyinye Paul, thank you very much for coming in. It's good to have you on. And then Happy New Year. It's good to have you on, and I'm expecting to hear from you on this issue. Love across borders. Is it better or worse to marry from home? So we have Mr. Nadi here, who's going to help us navigate through this whole topic. I'm also expecting Onyemere to come on. Onyemere, can you send me an invite? Can you send me? I already sent you an invite. If you can send me, if you can accept and come on, that will be appreciated. And Happy New Year. Thank you very much. Appreciations to have you on here tonight. Thank you very much. So, Mr. Nadi, while we wait for our other colleagues to come on, is it? I think we could as well just be touching on some things to engage with our audience, and at the same time expect a kind of feedback from them on this matter. So I'd like to ask you, you know, the topic says love across borders. Is it better or worse to marry from home? What does marry from home really mean in this context? What do we mean when we say somebody is marrying from home? Because home could be wherever you are. Home could be in the US. Home could be home could be in America. Home could be in the UK. So what does it mean when you say somebody is marrying from home? Meanwhile, before you answer that, I just want to appreciate a colleague who has just come on. Charlotte, I am totally thrown. Thank you very much for coming online to, you know, give support on this. Charlotte is my colleague in the office, and she was one of those who trained me when I newly came on in the job. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your presence here this evening. So, Mr. Nadi, what does it mean when you're saying you're marrying from home? Where is home? What does it mean?
Wow, thanks. Thank you, the team. And thanks to the people that are listening to us. And I'm delighted to also wish everyone a happy new year. It's been a while that we have sat in this place to have like our usual Sunday community service. Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know what's he holding on your Mary, and I don't know if Zep is not. I don't know if Zep is still showing up. But anyway,
I don't know. I've not seen Fex. I have not seen his green light. But if he comes on, I'll bring him in.
All right. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I would just I'll just say my own perspective of what I understand marrying from home, what it literally means. It means somebody marrying from the home, his original home, like where you're maybe you make references to somebody living in abroad.
Hey, Onye Mary, sorry, Mr. Nadi. Onye Mary is here now. Onye Mary, you're
Oh, okay.
welcome.
Oh, yeah, married.
Good evening, good evening, brothers. Good evening, brothers.
Yeah, happy New Year.
Happy New
Yes,
Year.
same to you. Same to
It's
you.
good. It's good to
Yeah.
have you back again, and then for the very first time. I don't know if you guys realize that this is our 1 year. This is exactly 1 year since we started this podcast.
Is it?
Yeah, this is our
Oh,
1 year. I also would want to just appreciate all those who have been there when all this started.
mm.
So, but at the end of the day, we are just going to talk about that and make one or two remarks. So you can go on, Mr. Nadi.
Well, I think like you mentioned early, with on your opening remark, marrying from home could mean different things for different people, but to contextualize the topic, I think we all know what we mean by when we make these references. So most of us that lives abroad, and it can mean anything to somebody else that maybe lives in Lagos, and marrying from home for him means to marry somebody from his own village. It could be marrying somebody from Enugu. It could even be marrying somebody from Africa. These are all contexts that can be used to digest this very topic that you raised. And for us that lives in the diaspora, these have been an ongoing conversation that you will hear people over the internet. They will say, "Oh, don't go back to Nigeria and marry. Don't go back to Nigeria and marry." Some people will say, if you marry in Nigeria, don't even dare to attempt to bring your spouse over to the UK. These are big questions, and it's not just people, um, um, using rhetorics. These are people's experience. These you can invalidate them and say, oh, because you have a very good experience from marrying from home, then their one is not valid, and that's why we're here. That's why we come here every Sunday to challenge these perceptions and being able to spill out some other part of the truth, and maybe our audience will partake in that conversation as well, so that we can help find the best version that may has its way to alienating with everybody's own different experiences. And from my own part, I think I am part of the victim. I wouldn't say call myself a victim. I would call myself or whatever words, but it's my experience as well, because I married my wife from Nigeria. My experience may be totally different, and that is why this conversation is quite intriguing to me personal. So marrying from home for somebody in the diaspora is a way of what we call transnational marriage or marriage-led immigration. Can be referred in different terms. So, but it's definitely means not marrying from where you are. It surely means moving, transferring from wherever you are domiciled to somewhere else that you assume that have some sort of cultural alignment with yourself to get entangled with. And that for me is what I say as marrying from home. Like I said, it could mean different thing for different people, but as somebody who lives in the diaspora, it always means you have to move out, go to your home, go to a place where you feel you have cultural alignment. Thank you, DT.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Onye Mary, you weren't just quite far from the starting point of this, and then it's a topic I guess you've you've done your due diligence in trying to come up with, terms about this. We're talking about love across borders. Is it better or worse to marry from home? And we just talked about the meaning, the contextual meaning of marrying from home. So my question to you is, this marrying from home is something that is with us. People do it. It's not just like it's a flash in the pan. It comes and people still go home to marry. Are there benefits? Why people will increasingly be going home or going across where they were raised or where they had been for so many years, to go back to their home country, or to go back to maybe where to go away from where they are domiciled to get a wife. Are there possible benefits to that?
Well, anyway, thank you so much, brother, and thank you, Sammy, for shedding light on this. Can you hear me, please?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Loud and clear.
Okay. Happy New Year to all. And also, before I start talking, I think the last time I was saying a post and I wanted to write about something, the post just went off. I think we should celebrate one of us here, Grace. I think he should just acquire the PhD. And we've also talked a lot about these things about PhD. I mean, it's not easy, but also we need to congratulate her for those times she spent researching and doing something, and finally came up with something nice like this. Congratulations, Grace.
Congrats, my sister Grace.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
One thing I want to say is that this is a slightly more personal question, because we have to consider that we have different worldviews, and we have different orientations, and we have different way of seeing things. What works for one person might not work for another person, and also since our choices are different, it all depends about what we want. And we're not going to say that this question has got a universal answer. No, because there's always going to be advantage about marrying from your home, or what I may call your cultural background. Because even if we begin or continue to interpret this question, we might also extend it to a point whereby we see somebody from Enugu going back to village to marry, from Enugu metropolis going back to village to marry, as somebody marrying from home also, and somebody traveling from Onitsha to marry is also marrying from home. Because if you have lived in Onitsha for a while, you will have a different worldview. But then people marrying from home, they have a couple of advantages. They have a couple of advantages in marrying from home. And we can also consider why people marry from home before I throw my light on this. Some of us and some of the people marrying from diaspora from home, they want a more traditional person, a more traditional marriage, and a more traditional wife. And sometimes it's not just only the man marrying from home, the women are also marrying from home. But we can say that the men marry more from home than the women. But we can also see that some of them don't want westernized individuals, somebody who was born or who has been born or who has been raised from here. They don't want this overly westernized perspective from somebody they're going to marry. And also, one of the other reasons why we marry from home is that we might family pressure and this close knit of a family structure, whereby your mother or your father might be dictating about who they want you to marry, and it affects a lot of us in different ways. Because even when you decide not to marry, you might still have that pressure, because they will be telling you that this traditional close knit structure is going to be preserved, so you need to marry this person from home. You'll be telling maybe your father or mother, oh, I've got somebody that I want to marry from Germany, from England, from Scotland, from America. But they'll be telling you, oh, their cultures are different, and their own perspective, their own worldviews, their own experiences are different. These are all different things. But one of the advantages we can get from this is that somebody marrying from home could say, okay, I'm marrying from home because I want to be close to my language. I don't want to have problems about raising my children and about the approach we adopt in raising our children. I don't have problem in discussing our traditions. I don't have problems in all these things. When you marry from home, you can have the benefit of aligning, like our brother mentioned earlier, aligning with your own tradition and culture, but also your own religion. Because in whatever we do, most of us are religious, and we also want somebody who is religious around us, so we can marry somebody who is a little bit closer to what we think, or how we see, or how we envision the world. And again, we have to consider that marrying from home doesn't justify, or it doesn't guarantee that there's going to be a compatibility between the personalities of the people marrying, or their own values, or their own ambitions, or the way they resolve conflict. Because in marriage, we all need what I call a conflict resolution skill. We need shared goals in marriage. We need emotional intelligence in marriage. We need emotional maturity in marriage. We need respect for one another in marriage. We also need good friendship and support for one another. All these things, it's not just about marrying. There are whole lots of things that come with marriage. So if you're not prepared to dabble into all these things and play around them in a way that will motivate your marriage, there's always going to be a problem, whether the person is married from home or not. And most of the people marrying from home that have a problem are complaining that some of the women they marry are exploiting them. And also, when we see this thing, some people might see it as less exploitative when you marry from home. So, but it's debatable whether it is less exploitative or not, depending on your own worldview about how you see the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, William Mary. Thank you. That was a very, very elaborate. Your explanation of this was very elaborate, and I take it. It's important to know why you marry in the first place. Why you want to get married in the first place. It is important to establish that why you want to get married, because some people get ready, or they get to the age of marriage and will decide not to get married. So, but people decide for themselves why they want to get married. Sam, I want to ask you. You just pointed out that you're one of those who fall into this broad category of having married from across borders. What are the challenges you as a person, or what are the challenges? Let me not personalize it now. What are the challenges that could possibly come when marriages are contracted across borders?
Oh, thank you, ODT, and thanks, Senior Man Oyemere, for declaring some of this information. And I think it's good that you asked the question so that we can go along with what we're discussing. Like you mentioned, I think one of the things that is quite unique about this our community and our podcast is the genuinity of it. We being able to come up here from us to tell our own stories, using our own stories to have the conversation, not avoiding ourselves. And you're not far away from the truth when you mentioned me being the partaker of this conversation that we're talking about. Yes, I'm married from home, and I can use part of my experience to tell the story so that other people will understand from what I have learned so far from marrying from home, and how what I've learned can add a bit of understanding of anybody that intending to travel maybe from Onitsha to Enugu, or from Enugu to Onitsha to do this inter kind of marriage. One thing that you have to understand that is not just that we're not talking just about love when you are intending to marry from home. You should be talking about logistics. You should be talking about power. You should be talking about adaptations. These are key components that needs not just I'm in love with this guy, or he is or she or he is a fantastic human. that's not just about it. You have to be realistic to yourself and identify that marrying, if you're going to meet somebody on the street of London and you got married to them, the, I mean, the responsibilities will be less demanding for you than having to travel all the way to Nigeria to get married, because obviously the risk is higher. And I'm not in any way trying to say that those people doesn't, you know, um, survive with marrying somebody from a different climate or something. But you just have to identify that it's not just going to be. You don't just have to be. Your intention is not meant to only be based on emotions. You have to understand this part of logistics, which I refer to like immigration sort of things, and that on its own is a pressure on its own that's built up to the already existing pressure that is already in every single marriage. So that being said, it means that you have to tighten up your seatbelts. You have to be more of a stronger person than just because obviously, like you've seen in the data around us in the UK, all over Europe, the propensity of people getting divorced has its indices based on all of these things that we have just mentioned. Um, um, uh, some people having to, you know, you know, coming to a different climate, not just coming with themselves, but coming to start learning whatever they have learned for 50 years or 40 years. And then you that have lived in a different culture and different environment, having to be, instead of being a partner to to your new spouse that you just arrived, you end up being like a father, because you have to teach them how to even use the most I mean domestic things around the place where you live, like learning them how to even use the public transport, learning them how to find their way to the shopping malls and all of that. So it's just more like a father to daughter, or daughter to son's relationship, rather than a partner. And on its own, it has the data is quite clear on the high risk of all of these things, and how these have actually inflicted on relationship across Europe. Like here in the UK, it's been highly identified that that those who marry abroad, they are more likely to end up in divorce than people who meet themselves abroad. And to make it clear a bit more, I'm not in any way trying to say that, like I said it before, so that people understand what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying that marrying from home is actually a wrong thing. Like I said, I personally married from home. But what I'm trying to explain, what I'm trying to even add more to it, is that when you are intending to marry from home, you have to understand that there are that intend that you have to add additional efforts. You have to, the effort have to be double than what you than marrying somebody that that already understand the cultural atmospheres of where you both are living, and being able to and the other part of it, the logistical part of it, because in the UK, and I'll give you a typical instance of what I mean. In the UK setting, obviously we know that it's more of a partnership kind of setting. Like if you're getting married to somebody, you have to start from the onset to start splitting your bills, taking responsibility, evening up the responsibility. That it starts from day one. But if you have to travel all the way to Nigeria to do that, you have to start adjusting to it. And there are lots and lots and lots and lots of things that has to come alongside with those things. And for you to have lived in a different culture for close to 10 to 15 years, you don't just expect somebody that you just moving in for 6 months to totally adapt to the whole system and become up and going. So another thing that you have to be very much patient with your new spouse, whether it's a male or a female. So there are lots and lots of things to discuss about this. But the truth about it is that if your intention to marry abroad, you have to not just depend on just love. You have to depend on, are you able to, the other logistic aspect of it, are you able to build that relationship in a way that you both will have a common ground? Because sometimes the interest, that adaptability will start kicking in as well. Some people that have lived in the UK, we have a more of an individualism kind of relationship here in the UK, where family members are totally outsiders. But in the cultural context of where we're coming from, which is the African, it is more of a collectivism, where your dad can call you over the phone and try to have an insight into what's your conversation with your mother, with your wife or your spouse. That is not acceptable in Europe. The dad does not interfere, the mom does not interfere. Any conversation is between the both parties, the husband and the wife. The third man getting involved is always gonna get into a crash. So there's a lot. I can go on and on. But the truth about it is that you have to identify that this is definitely going to occur. You don't just expect that once you have loved each other, that all of these things are going to disappear. No, it ain't going to be disappearing. You're gonna walk your way around it. What determines if that marriage lasts? And I'll give you a typical instance. In France, there is a research that resolved that marriages from the diaspora, intercontinental marriages, most of it don't last up to 5 years. As long as it lasts over 5 years, that marriage has high chances of surviving. So it's within this transition, or whatever language you want to use, within the transition of that new spouse being able to adapt to this new culture, understanding that when you're making money, you're making it for your family, not making it for the village people that are going to look at you as you have traveled abroad, that you're going to start sending money to them. That the more the person adapts to this understanding, the better the relationship starts stabilizing. Thank you, Iti. I think I've.
Yeah. Thank you very much. You really
Mr.
took out time to.
Mr. T.
Something? Yeah.
Yeah. May I just add a little bit of something here? Because
just 1 minute. Because I have a question with you. I have a question for you that can relate to that. So just because what I'm saying is that Mr. Nadi, because he's wearing the shoe, we pray that you and your spouse will navigate it through the 5 years and go ahead to sustain it. It's going to be something sustainable. Now, my question to you is that marrying it is supposed that when you go home to get married, or marriages in fact should be to the right persons, and not just a random thing. It's not just something you walk out the street and you see somebody, or you get back to Nigeria, you see somebody, or you go back to anywhere in Africa, you see somebody, and you are in a trance, and you right away propose marriage. You should be marrying the right person on the basis of what Mr. Nadi rightly pointed out. There's a background noise coming from somewhere there. On the basis of that, do you think that the right persons, because of the propensity, because of the number of persons who continuously go back home to get married, do you think that the right persons are at home?
Well, anyway, I wanted him to be here, but I think he left because of the noise, background noise, and he's coming back again. I think like I said before, this is more of a personal question that doesn't have a universal answer, because what works for one person might not work for another person, because some of what he mentioned here, according to your question, some of what he mentioned here, Sammy, Sammy, are you
Yes.
here? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
I said I would have wanted you to be here, but nice you're here again. I
yeah.
said I was mentioning this again, and then he pointed out, Sammy pointed out a couple of things, and also appreciation for pointing it out, because it's some of the things I was saying, because it's about interpretation, it's about what we see, it's about how we say it. Then from what Sammy just pointed out, now we can also establish that somebody who have lived in England for a couple of years, it's also England should be his home and not outside England. Because also going from that home we are expecting or thinking about or seeing as home is also marrying outside our home. In another way, if we flip the question around, so that's the interesting part. Because he rightly mentioned that if you marrying somebody from England is even better than going all the way from one, and you have to learn all these things. It becomes like a father-daughter relationship. That's right, and that's also the same way it happens when a woman marries a man from home. But because we have this cultural orientation around man ego, and then it becomes a little bit difficult for the man to like be pliable or adapt to what the lady is telling him. It happens. But what I'm saying here is that I think it will be a lot of people have said these things before, and they kept saying these things, that it is better for them to marry somebody who has a Western passport than going all the way home to marry somebody from home who doesn't even have world experience or all these things. Like I said, everybody has their different way of saying things. For me, the only thing I want in marriage is love. I have the capacity to build, and if you don't have the capacity to build in marriage, whichever way you want to marry it, if you're marrying for whatever reason, then you're always going to be encountering all these things. And like he said, this research might be established to some extent, but it all depends on how we begin to like break it down. Because lasting 5 years is also it's not easy. We've seen these things happening. Like when you're marrying somebody from a different culture or outside home from where you have established already, you can begin to experience these tough expectations of a gender role, money issue, and family obligation issue, and cultural communication issue. Those things, but also marrying outside home can challenge your assumption, can challenge your can expand your worldview. You can learn a lot, and then you can also adapt to a new cultural settings whereby you don't begin to always communicate with body language with the person you're familiar with, because over familiarity can also breed contempt. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about those aspects of things that we can benefit from this person that we married from outside. And also, according to what I was saying from the previous question, I said building is important, because once there is love and there is something to bond between you and the person you're marrying, and you have the capacity to be enterprising to build, there's nothing you cannot build in this world. And whether it is gender role issue that you encounter, whether it is family obligation issue that you encounter, whether it's family pressure, whether it's money, whether it's parenting issue, because you always have to have this parenting issue when you engage with outside culture. Somebody who has been in the UK for 10 years, or somebody who has been in the UK for 7 years, is more or less a UK, is a person with a UK mindset. So adapting to a new mindset, according to what others were emphasizing, it's always going to be difficult. But if you have the capacity to build, because love is not completely enough, but love is the basic element in anything, love or marriage. If the person loves you, that's the most important thing. But the problem is going to be when you force yourself into somebody who doesn't love you, and then whether you have whatever you might have, because we think differently, and the ladies think differently, and the more you begin to understand these nuances in thinking and acting, you begin to enjoy them. Because sometimes what makes us angry might not make them angry, or what makes me angry might not make my wife angry. But I have to understand also what my wife wants, what she likes, and I have to be very careful about all those things. Sometimes you might do all those things for a particular person, a particular woman. The person will still not be satisfied, because the person who is going to exploit this gap of divorcing and making away with all loads of lies and all of those things. We'll always do it because the person from the beginning has no interest. It's about what other people are mentioning, saying that some people exploit this opportunity, use it to get visa, and then divorce you and run away. People have those experiences. We can also look at the other side of people who says that they cannot marry somebody without Western passport. But also, some ladies are saying, I cannot marry somebody who cannot earn as much as I do, especially all those nurses and doctors and lawyers and engineers out there. But marriage is not supposed to be about the more material things. It's still supposed to be about the bond between you, because the bond will help you to navigate through difficult time. There's always going to be a difficult time, but how you are able to handle this difficult time matters in the moment of marriage. But if you're so vulnerable towards difficult things, it's always going to be something that will shake you, whether you are wherever or you are as strong as you might want to be, because the law guiding us here is absolutely different from the law guiding us there. There, the law is more beneficial to some people than others. And again, if according to the individualistic thing he mentioned, that's right. Everybody's minding their business. But in our culture, we're more communal. We reach out to each other, and that's also why these meetings we are holding can also help sometimes in marriage. But you find out because the meeting is not strongly built, it's not something that is you can hang on, you can put your trust on, because there's always going to be this problem or one problem or the other in a meeting. It's not organized, it's not well established, it's not well stable. Then even the meeting itself is having a problem. So how can a meeting having a problem be able to solve another problem? That's the issue we're having here with marrying at home. Marrying outside home is interesting. But once you learn something, it's always beautiful to expand your worldview. It's always beautiful to challenge yourself, because some of the assumptions we might have that everything I know, just like what is happening to us in Nigeria, every time Igbo this, Igbo that. That's good. But are we able to consider that other people have their own culture? That I am an Igbo person because I was born by an Igbo person. So this also applies to marriage. How we see each other, how we are able to treat each other from both the male and the female. Sometimes some of the males give all they have, give their head, even sacrifice, just like he was saying about father-daughter. If you don't have patience when you're engaging in father-daughter relationship, it might be difficult, because then if you are trying to highlight or teach somebody something, the person might want to prove to you that they know everything, and in that situation, it might become an issue. So to avoid all these things, I think we need a common understanding in marriage. Apart from love, when there is love, there's understanding, and there is the capacity to build. I'm not going to be looking at a woman that is coming to me just for visa, or it's always going to happen. Let the person take the visa and let the person go. I don't care. For me, I don't care. I will move on. But the problem is that everybody's not the same. So what I'm highlighting here is that there are benefits we can get from marrying outside our convenience, outside our culture, and crossing our own culture to the other side to marry. There are lots of opportunities there. And then one of the problems we might encounter is also about where, although that the kids will have a rich cultural orientation, but then sometimes some of these kids face the issue of where they particularly belong. Where do they belong? And it's happening between most marriages between us, the Africans, or another people, and then the Westerners. Because those mixed race, they have also formed what is now a new culture that they have formed by themselves, because they are neither here or there. So it is affecting them. So we need also to begin to inculcate in our children the necessity to see the advantages of marrying from where they are, not just about spending and suffering themselves trying to get because of family pressure, because your mother wants you to marry somebody, or because your father wants you to marry somebody. No, some of these parents have regretted in different ways by, the way they advise their kids or their children to marry somebody who their children didn't even love, whereas their children have somebody in England or Germany who they love, or who they understand, or who they want to be with, or who their ambition aligns with. But their parents will say, no, come back home because of the tradition. We're not going to eat tradition. We're going to eat prosperity and success. We want success in marriage rather than embellishing ourselves with all sorts of tradition that when the problem comes, nobody will come to your rescue. Only you will be alone. So it's important to see marriage from two perspectives. Marrying from home is advantageous. Marrying outside home is advantageous, depending on the orientation, the mindset you're bringing into the marriage. That will determine how far you can go. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mary. That was a good one. Mr. Nadi, are you there? Hello, Sam. Hello.
I can hear you.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
There's a comment by Tina Chike. Tina Chike is a colleague and is a friend. There's a comment by her on, and I'd like you to go through that and please quickly respond to that so that it can flow with what we're saying.
Yes, I think let me just have a grain of it again. Well, I think she actually absolutely understands what we are discussing here today, and I don't think I have any more to add to what she just said. It's part of what I was saying from my previous comment. I think all of these things has got a lot to do with what they call acculturation gap theory. It's a developed theory that that defines the core, this cultural, development from one end to the other. Is quite a well-known theory as well. I think what she said and the key words to what she said in here is mostly based on what I've mentioned before, that it's good that you find love. Love is quite important, but the truth about it is that you have to understand that some of these things, that loves and all of that, some of it comes with a huge responsibilities as well. And if you're not ready for that responsibility, you're better off not depending on love, because it's going to let you down. You're gonna come in the crossroad, and then you find out that either what you are expecting from your spouse or whatever is that symmetric kind of integration becomes the other way. It becomes a fire and a mirror. So, and then that is where we have all these situations we have in the Western civilization, where people now they call it we call it norm shopping. People value shopping. They come in, they kind of try to extract the good side of the Western cultural interface, mixing it up with the Western interface. And I'll give you a typical one of that. What I'm trying to explain. We have situations where we all know, most of us, and I'm like I said, I am part of this conversation, where most of us, we want to go back home to marry a woman who has got all this traditional inclination on them. Like they are built to understand that women are more likely to be the keepers of home. But when that woman comes in to this foreign land, they intend to think that that same woman will walk around being that homekeeper and being a provider. You understand? So this is where this crisis starts emerging from, because obviously what you're trying to, what experiment you're trying to try is an experiment. It's like you're trying to use a 250 volts grinding machine, and you're using it on a 110 power supply. Obviously, one thing is going to damage. It's either the woman get exhausted, and then regardless of how much love they have for you, they're not gonna sophisticate just because they love you. They're gonna face reality, and the more the both partners assimilate to this reality, the better that relationship starts growing, or whatever, crashing, or whatever word you want to use for it. But just to get a bit more highlight to what we're saying, the point that our sister here has just mentioned, I think I'll go back again to here. If you're intending to marry from the diaspora, and for those who are living in the diaspora, are living at home,
that are intending to marry somebody in the diaspora, it's not just about all these. It's not a bed of roses where you just come in and everything is just like you wake up, everything is all sorted. There is it's high responsibilities as well. If you're gonna travel to a different culture, you obviously understand there are lots of layers from your old culture that you need to set aside. Otherwise, you will be in a situation where you're using your fingers to lift the elephant, because it's not gonna work. So the point about it in all of this is just to get a context to it, is being able to assimilate the whole idea of understanding that what defines how sustainable your relationship is some sort of cultural framework that always exists in whatever you live in. If there is a culture in the UK that women has got to go and work and be part of the provisions at home, regardless of how you intend that the wife you're marrying from home is going to come here and just sit at home and only respect you, because that their respect comes from what they see around them. If they live with you and they're not doing any work, and you're just doing that for the intention that you intend to do it exactly the way it was done from home, that you just want a woman that's going to sit down and respect you, that woman is going to respect you to the very day she will have her full ability to stay in the country. Then that respect will go to the ground zero. So even for those who have lived, because I've seen people who have lived here for 10 years, but they haven't adapted to the system to understand that even it's not just you sitting with your wife or talking to your wife, that your wife go to shopping mall, they speak to their friends, and they will understand how things are being done. Or even a man, it can go both ways. They can understand how things are done. So regardless of wherever you want to marry somebody from home, or you want to marry from here, you have to understand that the culture is what determines how successful that relationship is going to become. If you are ready to assimilate yourself to that culture and assimilate your wife or your partner to that same culture, the better you both understand the reality on ground, rather than just believing in this frequency illusion or some kind of having that big ambitions that's not realistic to your everyday life or to the cultural interface of wherever you live in. I don't know if that answers the question.
Thank you very much. My take from this is that it appears from all our conversation that everything is devolving around culture. Love could also be part of that culture, because the culture is the way we live. I just want to thank you for having kept it there. And it is obvious we have been having this increasing frequency in the number of marriages that have been contracted across borders that are failing here. A lot of them are failing, and the failing, from what I understand, some deduced, the failure of these marriages may not be attributed to love, although in some cases it could be. It appears that the inability to situate ourselves properly within the cultural context of where you live, appears to be the major problem. I don't know, but what do you think could be the problem? Why marriages, mainly people who have gone from, for example, UK, for example, US, Germany, back to Africa, bring a wife over, and at the end of the day, you see many of them crashing. What could be the problem? What can we deduce as the problem that these marriages are failing?
Well, anyway, I think part of this thing is that we normally see it as a form of exploitation, emotional exploitation from people who are doing this. But like I said, it's not just only the men that are bringing, going out to marry. The women are also doing it, but in less numbers, you know. So we also need to acknowledge all these things. When our brother was saying everything, it still comes down to what I said earlier about building. If you don't have the capacity to build, love is the basic element. You must have love in a marriage. I don't want to be with somebody because the person is a medical doctor. I don't need this thing, or because the person is a lawyer. No, I don't care. I can be a lawyer, I can be a medical doctor, and I don't want to be with somebody because the person is an engineer. No, if the person have good feelings for me, that's the, even if the person is a frying corn, even if the person, that is where we are getting all these things wrong in marriage sometimes, because we normally think that when we marry the governor's daughter, or when we marry the president's daughter, that's when we marry. These are gibberish. If you have the capacity to build, you can build anybody to be anything, and that capacity to build requires co-understanding between both of you. You need understanding, because love goes with understanding. There's no love without understanding, because the understanding is the basic element of love. If somebody loves you without understanding you, hey babe, hey sweetie, hey lovely, hey darling, what do you want? What do you prefer to do? What do you want to do? What do you like to do? These questions are very important. It's not just about buying rice, 10 bags of rice, and buying 10 bags of beans for somebody to cook. No. This is not the issue of buying 10 bags of semo. I haven't come to this place to be eating semo, you know. No, I have come to build something with somebody, and the basis of that thing I'm building is love. If there's no love, I'm not building anything with anybody, because I have the capacity to work. I can work and get money. I don't need these things. If the person loves me and I have good feelings for the person, then that's the starting point of marriage. But sometimes the problem is that some of us, we have got somebody we want to marry here in the UK, here in America, here in all the places. But because the person is from Kenya, the person is from Tanzania, or the person is from Ghana, no, your mother or your father will say, no, please come home. Most of those people that have gone home like this, I say most of them, not all of them, they've got issues with their marriage. Do you want to marry from home, like I said before, a UK where you have compatibility, where you have understanding, or do you want to marry somebody from afresh? Then I'm beginning to complain. It's not always to marry from home and complain. Not all of them. Many women have the capacity from home to marry and build a family. When somebody comes new, like I would mention, you have a lot of things to do. But remember, it can backfire to you in the short or long run, that you might not have something to do. That person you build or you build will also begin to build you, because life is about so and so. It can turn around anytime, you know. So one thing here is that some of them bring their wife. A lot of people also have this core cultural and innate cultural problems, some of us. And even though they have lived, I'm going to tell you something that they're going to mark now. Even though they have lived in America for 40 years, or for 30 years, or for 20 years, they still haven't relearned. They still haven't unlearned to relearn. When you want to have a better mindset in Europe or the UK or America, you need to unlearn and relearn. And I'm writing a book about this. If you don't unlearn, leave these garbages, all these things you carry from Nigeria and come here to relearn how things work. It will be affecting you in building something with another person. Somebody might go home and say, okay, because some of the things that attract us, this person is religious, I like it, I'm a religious person. Since we started, I've always said I'm a religious person, and I remain a religious person. I love religion. I believe in something, but I don't have any problem with somebody who doesn't believe. I can marry somebody who doesn't believe in something. I can still build something with that person. What we are saying here is that, are you able to see the good things in the person you are with, whether it's the male or the female? Are you able to dissect things and then analyze things the way it can work? A lot of people might disappoint you because they don't have good feelings with you. They want a better life, and they're just ready to marry you, get whatever they want to get, and then move on. They don't care. But are you able to see this? Because you are overly connected with your emotions, that you want to marry connection. You want to marry a lawyer. You want to marry a business tycoon. You don't want to marry somebody you can build with. If you marry somebody who loves you, that is when you can see that all of us have got strengths and weaknesses. If you capitalize on the strength of that person and define what you want and build together about what you want, there's no perfect marriage. There's no perfect marriage. And when they always say this, and there's always going to be these highs and lows, but you can manage them properly. There are also situations and occasions whereby you have done all these things and it's looking as impossible as anything that you cannot manage them or it cannot be managed. What you have to do is just to peacefully move on. Sometimes you don't have to hold on something that will destroy you. That's another perspective that people are not seeing. I've seen a colleague here in Germany. When I was in Germany, he got married. Just 2 months after marriage. The lady moved on and later, after 1 year, the lady went back to Nigeria and brought back somebody she has feelings for. And I'm telling you this thing because some of us who don't understand the core precepts of women think that women, you just see them and they just say, I love you. They say, I love you. You don't even understand the body language of them. You have to get deeper. And if you don't get deeper, you might have a problem in marriage. Some of them are honest. Some of the men are honest. In marriage, I have also seen many captions. No amount of money can buy happiness, and no amount of money can buy love. You might influence somebody with money, you might influence somebody with whatever you have, but no amount of all these things can buy love and happiness. I am specifically emphasizing on love because I know that there is still true love. So, but the problem with us is that this person frying corn might be the one that loves you. No, you don't want somebody frying corn because you might say that person frying corn is not your standard. But do you know that you can refine somebody who fries corn to become the best doctor in the world? We don't think that way because we don't have the capacity to build. We just want already made. When you always want already made, it's always going to be like, we haven't learned to relearn. We need to learn and relearn. That's when we can start to see the beauty of the strength and then the weakness of us, the male and female in marriage, because marriage is not the bed of roses. You have a lot of work to do. I have seen also a lady who brought a man here. Within 6 months, everything crashed. And then the man went back and brought the girl. He loved. So that's what I'm saying. We don't have to blame it on one side. We also have to balance it because there are many bad women as much as also many uncared and bad men. So all of the places. So whoever you meet, let's not just attribute one thing to one side. And then let's see it, because I said there's no universal answer to this question. It's more personal, depending on your own worldview, because what works for me might not work for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are not particularizing any fault or any rules to anybody. We are just it's an open-ended discussion. What we are saying, if you are within this category and you find yourself in it, you can just find something we are talking about and relate with that and try to reset, try to work on yourself and move on. It's not even just about we are talking about we are talking about marriage as a whole. And what we are saying here could equally relate to people who are across the Atlantic. So, but the issue is that these are conversations we need to have, and if we don't have these conversations, there are people who may still think that all things are well by just saying I do. It is beyond the I do that you begin to work on what is going to work for you or not work for you.
You begin to build.
You begin to build. Mr. Nadi, this is my last question to you, and then I would want you to give me your last, but not now. Do you think career opportunities overseas and career and education opportunities, over here have impacted marriages to the point of making it worse or better?
Well, thank you, T. Personally, I think what you just said is actually the opposite. What is the problem is not them what you just mentioned. I think that is actually what enhances good marriage and good relationship. But I think what people misconstrue to become that career cheese or career people
when they end up attaining certain qualifications. Certain qualification is it automatically start
How are you?
affecting the interface of the marriage. I think it's more to do with their selective I mean propensity of the marriage. Like when what they have
How are
what
you?
what their intention over that marriage is in the
Nice
first
to.
place, not based on their not
Let's
based
go
on,
to the.
I think somebody is
Emmanuel Zagabata.
Oyemere, can you mute yourself, please?
Okay, Baba. Ah,
No, yeah, there was a comment. You were talking, and it was interfering with what Sam
sorry,
was saying. Yeah.
sorry.
So for me, basically, I think it's all based on that what I referred to before as the as norm shopping, where people intend to extract what they think is good on one culture to use that on the other one. It's nothing to do with their career ambitions or um, whatever prospect they have in their different way of life. So, but I'll give you a background to what I mean by that. Yeah, I mean we have different people from different demography with this same kind of I mean features that you just mentioned. And if you go to a typical Indian woman or Indian man who becomes whatever, a doctor or a nurse or an engineer or a scientist, it's quite different from a typical person that is from the African part of the divide. But the problem in between these two segment of people is not that career. Is the what was this person thinking using that career to become a tool? Because a typical Indian woman or a typical Indian man, if he's progressing in his career, that is actually an advancement to the relationship or to his family or to his spouse and all of that. But for the typical Africans, he becomes a tool. But because we have not actually dealt with the real elephants in the room, which is understanding this concept of what I refer to a cultural gap theory. If we're not able to understand that people need to assimilate to a certain, if you're coming from a different culture, and I'm not saying that, I'm saying this based on not just on a man or on a woman. I'm saying that based on the two partners. For you both to be able to understand that you are now living in a different world, that you're no longer living in a world where, and then that actually even give a bit more insight to what the analysis is saying or what the data is saying, because a lot of all these crises and all of these crashes that you're seeing in in the black community is something that has to do with dual cultural exploitations, people trying to exploit both cultures and using them to whatever advantage, whatever it suits them. If this suits me that women should not work, then I keep my wife at home. If this suits me that whenever I start making good money, then I have to stamp over my husband, because there was no a better understanding to resolve this root cause of the problem in the first place. It's all about what you just said, I do, without understanding the logistics that behind just having to go out the way to wherever home you call it to get somebody and assimilate them to understand how these places works, and being able to have that perseverance or patience to be able to accommodate them and lend them. And that is also part of this cultural gap that I just mentioned, being able to accumulate them and being able to harmonize them to understand, nurture them around that culture,
And like I said, and that is the challenge. That is the good thing about this our podcast. We always have our way of agreeing, and in the terms of this, I mean, intercultural or marital concept that we're discussing today, where people go back home. Love, I keep saying, I have to make that a bit more clear. Love is important, but love should not be the center point when you are intending to marry from abroad. Because love on its own will not be able to withhold the pressure that is going to come within the journey of having to understand all of these things. The logistic, like I said, I'll give you an instance what I mean by that. I've seen people who lives in the diaspora, and they have a partner living in Nigeria, even though they don't have a means of bringing them over to where they live, and they intend that marriage will be will sustain. Obviously, you have already dig the grave even when the man is not dead. So you have to first of all look at what is realistic to you. If you live in the diaspora and you don't have means of bringing your spouse from Nigeria to the UK, you have to think about reality and see how you can find a way to marry from where you live. As long as you have not promised, or you're not indebted to such a person that you have collected money from them or done everything you have to explain it to them. And that is the point about this our podcast. We have to be realistic to understand that if you have no means of bringing your spouse to where you live, and this is going to take like 20 years and 30 years, I don't think there's a relationship that is far away from each other that will have the same potent for 20 years. If you guys does not have any way, that means that relationship has lost everything that is related to potency. So you have to be realistic and understand that love is important, but that love has to come with other logistic aspect of it that has to be real to your condition, your environment, your situation, before that love can be realistic. Because I give you more instance. Somebody can sit down and say, I love the president of the United States, I love the wife of the president. It's not about whom you love, it's who is realistic. Who are you? Would you be able to logistically accommodate as a wife? Because if marrying the wife of the whatever imagination you have about it, if it's not realistic to yourself and to your situation, that is where most of these problems, that's where most of it come from. And then you don't, even the person moves in with you to wherever you're living, you need to understand that the real shock of marriage is not when you are not married. The real shock of marriage is when you're actually into that marriage, that you start seeing that love on its own is just the flashpoint. Now the real situation comes in when you start living together and facing challenges together, and you started seeing not just the beauty part of your partners, but also to see the good side and also to see the other side of your partner. Thank you, Mr. T. I think I've done.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I know that we are trying to not just talk to ourselves. We are talking to a whole lot of people out there. I'm talking to myself through this podcast. Every time we are done with this, you try to go back and see the gray areas and try to work on them. Thank you very much. Mary just, and before I say that, I'd like to say to Angel Ify. Angel, Happy New Year. It's been a while, but please allow me.
This one my
please.
my member.
I know. Angel, thank you for showing your face and for your contributions all the while, all throughout last year. We're in a new year. Happy New Year. And then, Mary, there's a comment by Angel Ify on this platform. I'd like you to take a look on that. You address that. Then we can move on.
Are you sure, I think it's muted.
No, I'm here. Can you hear me? Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, yeah. I've seen what she wrote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can you just speak to that, and then we try to bring. We'll now be bringing this the topic for this, not just
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
This
I think in what she was emphasizing. Can you hear me, guys?
Yeah. Loud and clear. Loud and clear.
Yeah. I think what she was emphasizing about trying and retrying also goes back and forth to what I've been mentioning here, because I said what works for one might not work for the other. It's fairly a personal question, and also this personal question has no universal answer as far as marriage is concerned. But what we're talking about, trying and retrying, you can see beyond this text a whole lot of good feelings. Because if somebody doesn't have somebody who is willing to try with you, because the love comes with everything, both wealth and knowledge and everything is all embodied in love. If there's no love, there's no marriage automatically, because people are, for whether logistic or whatever you might think about, love brings all of them, because love makes every conversation beneficial to both parties. We're talking about not just one-sided conversation. We're talking about mutual conversation. We're talking about mutual understanding. So when we don't have mutual conversation, it's as bad as anything that we haven't been able to achieve what we are looking at. Marriage is deeper than we think. Marriage is not just seeing somebody on the road and saying, I will marry you, without even caring to know about what's going on. Marriage is not about marrying an engineering. It's good. To marry a lawyer is good. To marry a doctor is good. But you can also marry somebody who sells Sogo somewhere and have the capacity to build. If you love that person who sells Sogo in the market, and if you love that person who works hard in the market, that's also an entrepreneurship that we're not looking into. Most of the Western ladies that are married to us are superior to us in terms of what they have. Most of them. Some of them are accountant. They married to Africans who have no education. But they got married to us because of that good feelings. I'm telling you, if you don't have that good feelings, it will not be sustainable in marriage anywhere. So one of the reasons why we see all these things crashing is because of that lack of good feelings. Going to the board, according to what Angel is saying, retrying and trying all over again means that there's these good feelings of love. Love embodies wealth, embodies knowledge, and that is the greatest gift. And I will always advise individuals to marry somebody they have feelings for. Don't marry somebody because they are just going to connect for connections. All these things will, even the word we read says that all of those things will expire. But the only thing that lasts forever is that love. So before you have a discussion, before you can go back to the board to retry, you must have a common understanding. That's what I'm saying. Unlearning and relearning. That means that you have to be humble enough. You have to be humble enough to be able to unlearn and relearn. That means that in this journey, my perspective is superior to nobody's perspective. I am willing to unlearn and I am willing to relearn. That's the most important aspect of this discussion. Because if you're not willing to unlearn, that's humility to listen to a woman. Because a woman has a way of communication, and not all the men understands that women can communicate with their body languages. They can communicate with their eyes. When they are angry, they can communicate with their fingers. Are you able to understand this? But the man doesn't. The man communicates directly, whereas the woman communicates indirectly. So if you're not able to read these signs, these are in front of you, even though you have the same culture. But if you're not able to read these signs, there's always going to be a problem. When you're saying that because you are the one giving visa, or because you are the one spending all the money, you don't even think about the long-term relationship and feelings of that person, and then feelings of you. Because when all these Western women, you see them, even some of us are married to 87 to 97 years old women, not because of their age, because they have good feelings for you. And if you see all those 97 years old women that are retired doctors, retired lawyers, but they're still willing because they have this good relationship. Some people might say that they are coming for the other one, for the other room. That is not, honestly, the main reason why they are coming, they are, apart from the other room, you can get it in any club with any guy, but because they have good feelings to make that person. So they can go as far as going anywhere in your life to make sure they met you. That is what we lack in our own orientation to build. You can build anybody. But then what happens when we get the passport? We begin to think that the person who has built us is outdated, doesn't know anything, that we need to go back to that culture. That's where the culture is now. We need to go back to that culture, because we don't believe that the child we have here is somebody that's going to go back because of that orientation. I still need to listen to my mother. I still need to listen to my father because they have somebody else in my culture that they need me to marry. No, it can happen. That's also good. But if you are not willing to learn and relearn, there's never a way you can go back to try and retry. I'm saying it with clarity. So if you want a marriage, whether you're bringing a wife or whether you're looking at career, everybody can be career, anything, if you put the person in the right track. Because God has endowed us with one particular level of intelligence that if you have opportunity, it might look as if you're the best. But remember that if another person has this opportunity, you will see that everybody has intelligence and they have something that God blessed them with. And you can tap on those blessings. If you marry somebody who you think is not well educated, you can build, because there is love. And if you build that person who is selling ugu in the market, the same way you believe in that engineer or medical doctor or lawyer, you will see that in the long run, because we will get old someday. In the long run, it is the person who has good feelings for you that will stay with you and take care of you in the old age. Marriage is not just about when we're young, when we're just going back and forth the other room. No, if you go to the other room, you will still come out from that other room, because marriage is not just about the other room. So what I'm saying here is that we need to think critically, because acculturation comes with disadvantage. Acculturation looks at the assimilation side. That's always what I talk about this theory, because this theory is so ambiguous in their application, But acculturation overlooks the other side of integration, the other side of selection, the other side of marginalization in cultures, even though you try to assimilate. But assimilation is not bad. But what I'm looking at here is that even when you try to have this co-understanding with the person you're working with, are you willing to unlearn and relearn? That's the message I'm passing across to all married people. Because when somebody, like some of the things we can learn in this culture, somebody's coming new, you see somebody's working, you have two shifts. That's also the thing I'm talking about love. Do you have, most of us don't love the person in the Western world, because we think that the person is in the Western world has one fault or the other. So we want to go back home and then bring that person, we think that they're naive. But like we have said in this not naive, but somebody we think that they're more traditionally aligned to us or religious aligned to us. Some of them also are not as exposed as they should be. But that notwithstanding, can we unlearn and relearn? We can see the beauty of marriage. If anybody's saying that we can look at logistics, which is not bad, but I'm not looking at logistics. Logistics comes later.
Calm down, wrap it down.
I'm wrapping it up. I'm looking at good feelings. I'm looking at love, the element of love, which is the basic thing in marriage. If that person has got this core element of love, as minute as it might be, then I will be willing and the person to see what I can build with that person. So in building with that person, I can build the best doctor in the world with that person. I can build the best lawyer in the world with that person. I can build the best engineer, as long as we have common understanding, because the love is the foundation of the coming together. So let's look at it not just about the cultural shock we meet when we come over here and when we move outside here. And as I said, where you are over 7 years can also be your home. And don't neglect that you can also see that home as where you can settle down. And where you've been for more than 10 years can also be your home. So let's also see a career woman, because those things have caused enormous amount of problem. About career woman, I trained her to be nurse, and after training her, blah, 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 because the person doesn't like you, doesn't love you from the beginning. You're just training because that's what we call transactional relationship. Are you into transactional relationship, or are you into honest, authentic relationship? These are the two questions we should be asking ourselves. If you're into transactional relationship, you're training a career person to bring in money for you. No, if you are into an honest, trusted, and open-minded relationship, you will be training the person to build a family together. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mary. And that was a very good one. And then it was you took a span. You just expanded your wings and took in so many things under your wings. Mr. Nadi, in 1 minute, can you just give us your final? Although I know your first is always your last, but for protocol purposes, just give us your last in 1 minute.
Well, I want to give a special thank you to my beautiful wife for being part of this conversation as well. That's something that I encourage people to always be up and going for having conversation. You see me on the podcast having a chat with my wife. Contribution to it as well. Our marriage is not isolated. It's just the same way like every other person's marriage. And the more we have successful marriages, and that's the more we have successful homes. And for us to do all of this, we all have to, we have to come out of our shell and discuss about it, argue about it, review all of these things to get the better version of what a true marriage should be like. This is how societies strive. It's not by everybody being the sole administrators of their home. We can learn from each other's journey and then move forward. So, in summary, like I've always said, interstate marriages, love is important, but love on its own is not enough. You have to, because love sometimes is only identified if you're coming from an idiotic speech. You can say that people used to use the word that love is actually blind. So there's no way you will even know who loves you and who you don't. You don't even know who you love until the very challenges that your feelings, because it's only feelings. Remember, love is feelings, and feelings you can feel good today and you feel bad tomorrow. So, but there are those logistics that actually kind of append those whatever love you're professing that supports those things. Marriages crashes if those things are not there. If you're only dependent that I love this person, you're only dependent on how you're feeling at that point. You may not know how you will feel the day the police come knocking on your door, and it's your wife that called the police. Maybe for no reasons. You may not understand the feeling of love, to forgive, and understanding that forgiveness is part of those attributes of love, if you haven't experienced those things yourself. So, basing your relationship only on love, that you love this person and you're thinking that you love somebody, it's only untested. The real test of that love is when those situations happen. And regardless of if you love the person or you're not, it is that challenge that actually defines whether that love is mutual or if it's swayed to one path or to one side or the other. And don't forget, and something that I want to highlight to Brother Onyemere, which is quite good. And one thing that I don't think he's added to that conversation as well. You may not even marry a medical doctor. You may marry a woman that is roasting corn in the village. And it may end up being worse than the medical doctor that you married, because they may end up not even loving you. So it's all about understanding your reality. What is my reality? And finding a person that aligns to that reality. If that person may be a doctor, that person may be a person flying corn in anywhere else, or that person may be anybody. But as long as you have your own target, you know that this is what my intention is, and the kind of person that will work in partnership to succeed in this dream has to be somebody that aligns with that idea, regardless of who that person is. Not somebody that you love,
And that is a mistake a lot of us make. People think that marriage is all about love. Love, yes, love is important, but alignment is the most important in marriage. That is why it's being referred as partnership. Somebody that aligns to your dream, to your goal. If your intention is to have a lovely home, children that you train and give them good education, you have to find somebody that aligns, that has the same alignment. Otherwise, regardless of how much you love that person, regardless of how much you think you love the person, as long as that person does not align to this goal, that marriage will not work. And that have been tested everywhere. That have been tested. I can give you evidence and proofs to this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mary, please, in 1 minute, can you summarize?
Well, anyway, thank you so much for today. As I said, this is more personal question, and the question has no universal answer, because what works for me might not work for you, and we all have different choices to make. But as far as I know, the basic element in marriage is love, and from love you can build anything you want. And I didn't say that marriage is all about love, but love is the basic element. If there's no love in any marriage, it doesn't make any sense. No matter who you marry, whether barrister or engineer or whatever, if the person doesn't have good feelings for you, because one of the problems we have is having a one-sided feeling to a lawyer, to somebody, the president's son, daughter, because we want it. It's not just about what we want, it's about mutual connection. If you don't have a mutual connection with somebody, it's as good as not marrying, it's as good as staying alone. And also, we need emotion, we need conflict resolution skills in marriage. We need shared goals. We need emotional intelligence. We need emotional maturity. We also need good friendship, and we need good respect for each other, and also supporting each other. All these things are something, packages that come with love. If you love somebody, and if that person loves you, there's always going to be a core mutual understanding. Because as far as love is the greatest commandment, as far as, even if you have the biggest knowledge and you have the biggest wisdom in the world and you lack love, you lack everything. It's just like a clanging bell. It doesn't make any sense. Because we have to be honest to ourselves. Whether we are engaging, we have to always ask ourselves, are we engaging in transactional relationship or authentic relationship, where we love the person involved? Is this person involved mutually love me the same way I love the person? And can I use that element of love that is involved to build something? Am I willing to unlearn and relearn? In the process of unlearning and relearning, whether you are an architect as a man, whether you're a medical doctor, whether you are a lawyer, whether you are an engineer, you'll be willing to unlearn and relearn, and you'll be willing to be climbing these stages with humility. And also very important is that we need to understand the body languages of women and their communication. Lack of understanding the body languages of women and their communication is doing a lot of harm in marriages than even what we're thinking about. And if that person who loves you and you love, and you have those basic elements that can bring all those logistics and bring all those world in place, has good feelings about you or for you, there's always going to be a reason for you to view the communication, the signals the person is giving you through body languages, through eyes, through smiles. Whether the smile is for happiness or for anger, somebody might be smiling at you but still be angry. So these are the things we have to look at. And also, we have to look at marriage as the gift, as an eternal gift, as a gift of God. And if you don't believe, look at what you believe, and look at somebody, whether you are dealing with somebody who is roasting corn, as I said, if that person roasting corn loves you, and you love that person, it's even better for you than marrying somebody who doesn't even care for you. So make choices and be willing to unlearn and relearn. As far as you're willing to unlearn and relearn in a humble way, it's going to help you a lot to navigate any form of temptations, any form of conflicts, because we already have these skills to navigate with, and we already have these skills to solve problems with. Marriage, whether you are marrying outside your home or you're married with in your home, consider one thing. Consider whether you want a more aligned traditional way of marriage, or somebody who is more religious, or somebody who is religious as you want, or you want somebody who is open-minded, somebody who you think that you love and the person loves you, or whether you're looking at a more transactional way where you'll be talking about money and what the benefit that comes with marriage and all of those things in the Western world, and consider all those things critically before you get into marriage. Otherwise, it's always going to be a back and forth story about this thing happened and that thing happened. No marriage is perfect, and no woman or man is perfect. We're all human beings coming from different homes to share our ideas and to collaborate and work together to make sure that this relationship works in a very authentic way. I wish all the married people, whether from home or outside home, the best success and the best of luck in the marriage. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. As always, you guys come shooting from the waist, and then I know that by the time the duel we do with topics are done, we leave everything here on the floor. We leave nothing in the tank. I want to thank you guys for having shot from the waist. You that was just straight at the max, and you know, I believe that some of people out there who've been listening to us can be guided by some of the nuggets of life we dropped here this evening. It is like we said, people come from different understanding, different perspective, but the issue is that you try to do what will best serve your situation. Marriage are made up of people of different makeups, and when you try to maximize your strength over your weaknesses, you come out the better for it. The understanding from this topic for me is that there is need of for us to open up, opening up, learn from each other's journey. When you talk some issues over with a friend, with family members, you learn what they are going through. You see if those things apply to you, and then you can take one or two things from there and move on. It is also established that love is very, very basic, but it is not all that is all that will make the magic work. You have to walk the walk for it the walk to work. But love is the basic element in marriage. It enables that mutual understanding to come in play, and it helps also, for us to be able to resolve conflicts when they are there. Like we have here, it is the enabling block that will help you to try again before you can have something that is workable. When you have shared goals in marriage, it also helps to make that marriage work and successful. So having said that, I just want to thank you guys for all that you dropped here. And I believe that somebody out there has gained something from today's topic, and it is something we cherish in doing when we know that what we talk about here has helped somebody to navigate a problem, or has helped somebody to to turn a new curve in life. Thank you guys, and for all the people who've been out there and worked all these challenges with us, I want to say once again thank you. Charlotte Jones is my colleague in the office. She was here. Thank you, Onye Paul. Thank you, Chuka. Chuka has been a constant. Grace also has been a constant. NWC Brian, thank you very much for showing and for your support. I want to also thank Chris Wamba. Chris, we go all the way back in Nigeria. Thank you. Tina Chike, the realtor of our time. Tina, thank you very much. I also want to thank Angel Ifi. Ejike Obodo. Ejike, you know how we roll. Thank you guys. Kinsley Eze, you know how this topic came about, and then want to thank all of you for having made this this day, a memorable one for so many. Jay Johnson, thank you for having chimed in. He said, for me, love is not the basic element in marriage. Understanding is. Thank you, Jay. Yeah. So, Kinsley said, as someone who married from home, I would highly recommend. There are always advantages to marrying someone from your cultural background. Yeah, it's always there, and there are also problems that come with them, and we are not mindful of all those. Well, having said that, I know that what we talked about today must have helped somebody somewhere in trying to resolve one or two problems. Having said that, guys, I just want to say thank you for having left everything here on the floor, and for all those guys who have chimed in with their contributions. Thank you very much. Somebody out there may have been going through some stuff, and this may have been a kind of antidote or something that a panacea to what you're going through. Thank you, and it's all the way from us, all of us here on the side of the studio, to you guys out there. Thank you very much, and do have a wonderful week ahead. Until next week, we'll be coming across your way again with something that will not just be interesting, something that will also be entertaining. Have a wonderful day, guys, and the best of the week. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Bye. Yeah.